Welcome back to the Tracy Take. I am your co-host Tyler here with my brother Ryan, and today we are doing our fourth mock draft of the 2023 NFL offseason. But before we get into that, we want to give a huge shout out and thank you to everyone that has joined our channel since the beginning of the year. We're currently sitting at 1,121 subscribers as of this recording on April 11th, and so we really didn't think that we could get here this quickly. And so, honestly, if we thought we got 2,000 by the beginning of the NFL season, that would be great. So thank you to everyone that has joined. If you have not already, subscribe and ring that bell to get notified when we create new content. We have a bunch more series and material coming up after the NFL draft and up into the NFL draft as well. So with all of that being said, Ryan, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Tell all the audience what the format is going to be for today.
Okay, so we're doing all 31 first-round picks. That's right. Sorry, Dolphins fans. You can go ahead and click over to the next video. But we're doing all 31 teams. You are approaching it a little bit differently than I am. You are doing what you think the teams are going to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you're doing what the teams are going to do. We are including trades, and we're doing all 31 of the first-round picks. We are doing trades as well, so that will be included. And, I think we should just go ahead and get right into it and see what you got.
I like it. Yeah. So as Ryan said, I kind of went for the mentality of what I think the teams are going to do. And I tried to base this off of moves that have been made, also kind of how players fit, also maybe even just best player available according to the scenario. So if you don't like a player that I picked, I don't care. But let us know in the comments and what you wish the team did differently. And so that being said, Ryan, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Panthers traded up to number 1 from number 9 with the Chicago Bears for a specific reason, and that is get their franchise quarterback here. And if there's anything that's guaranteed in this 2023 NFL draft is that a quarterback will be going in the first 2 picks. Who that is absolutely up to opinion. Personally, as I said, I would probably lean towards CJ Stroud. However, with recent reports and recent rumors saying that Bryce Young is already the guy at Carolina, I did end up going with Bryce Young here. As I think that might be the route that they go. As more information comes out and maybe more rumors come out or things get more solidified, maybe it'll go back to CJ Stroud. So then with that being said, the Texans get the sloppy seconds of CJ Stroud, which, they won't complain about that at all. I would think the Texans, this is probably the easiest pick. It's like we will take whoever you want. I've even thought about, because there have been some people that say that they'll go edge rusher with Will Anderson or Tyree Wilson here. And possible, yes, but there's no guarantee that they can get a quarterback later on in the draft. And I really don't know if they want to be going into the season with Davis Mills or Kyle Allen. So those to me, that's the route that I went with the 2 quarterbacks. I could easily see these picks being reversed in real life come April 27th. So moving on now to the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals, I could honestly see trading back here. I could see them staying put. In my mind, just with how everything up and with the 2 remaining quarterbacks left and what other teams behind them have done, I don't see teams like the Titans trading up, because that then would be a lot of draft picks for a project, so to say, and someone that they would need to start now. I guess maybe they could still go with Tannehill. And the Raiders, I can see them maybe taking quarterback. We'll get to that here a little bit later. But since I have Jimmy G, I don't know if they'd want to trade future draft capital. So I have actually the Cardinals staying put, and I have them going with Will Anderson here. I still think that he is the best edge rusher in the class. We were talking about that before. I know Tyree Wilson is really creeping up. I know Nolan Smith has gained, has flown up draft boards. So it's really personal preference. I still went with Will Anderson here just at this pick. Going with number 4, Indianapolis Colts. Dream scenario for them, as in no one traded up to number 3, so then they wouldn't get the 4th quarterback or potentially would go a different route. But I have them going with Anthony Richardson here. I just think the overall physical tools, I think, and with Shane Steichen coming in and the offense that he ran in Philadelphia, I feel like he would be a long-term better fit maybe than Will Levis. So this is where now probably my first change, and I had Jalen Carter going here up until really his pro day. Even with everything off the field, there were even Seahawks fans commenting about they wouldn't draft off the field issues. And to me, I wasn't as concerned too much about that, because there have been plenty of NFL players that have off the field issues that things get corrected and they maybe mature, so to say. But what concerned me actually was his pro day and the fact that he couldn't even finish the workouts. So with that being said, I actually have him going with Tyree Wilson here. I still think that he would be a great fit and a great player to go along with that. I know they signed Draymond Jones, but I think that they could – that he can come in and go on the opposite of Draymond Jones in that defense. So, Brian, I just want – quick stop so I can catch my breath. What do you think of that pick? Do you think they go with Tyree Wilson or do you think they go with Jalen Carter?
So actually a little foreshadowing for my mock draft. I actually have the Seahawks drafting Tyree Wilson at 5 as well. So I really like that one. They need the defensive line help. And I think he's a really good fit for that system. He's a versatile guy. And I think he brings the power and athleticism that Pete Carroll wants in a defensive lineman.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And so if it wasn't for Jalen Carter's pro day, I think I could even understand. And I don't know about the whole situation with the GM and everything. But to me, what concerned me the most was the pro day. I mean, how can you not? That is your day. Like that is everyone is there to watch you, and you struggle to finish.
Yeah,
like, that's not a good sign.
The drills that you set up for yourself. Like it's not like anybody else is making you do workouts. So I think that was a really, really bad look for Jalen Carter. And then you couple that with the off the field stuff that he's been going through, and I think he actually falls a little bit down some draft boards here.
So, and that's, I mean, he's going to do it in mine. And so
yeah, he does.
Maybe I'm completely overlooking it, or overthinking about it. Maybe this is that overhyped draft stuff that always happens, around this time of year. Maybe I'm falling into it, but to me, I think that is concerning to me. But let's move on though now to the Detroit Lions. And today solidified what I think the Lions are going to do in this draft as they traded Jeff Okudah to my Atlanta Falcons. Yes, for a 5th round pick. And to me, they've signed Cameron Sutton, but now there's a clear opening on the other side of the ball. And I think that they're going to go with what is now my new number 1 corner. It's going with Christian Gonzalez, the overall physical tools. It could go to Devin Witherspoon, absolutely. But to me, if we're looking at the overall profile, I think he now kind of fits that modern day cornerback, tall, lanky, and super freaking fast. So I'm going with Christian Gonzalez here. And this is another one similar, I think, to going to the quarterback picks earlier. It could easily be reversed. I could see them going Devin Witherspoon here, but I just like Christian Gonzalez a little bit more now at this point.
Yeah.
So probably pretty rudimentary up at this point. It's going to stay that way because at 7, I really went back and forth on what I think do here. I think there's a lot of different routes they could go. They could go Devin Witherspoon. Jalen Carter is still on the board. Maybe they could go offensive lineman here. But I think Josh McDaniels, I think they signed Jimmy G just as now it seems like what he's kind of turned his career into, which has been a very successful millions of dollar career, is just being a stopgap quarterback that he can come in and compete on teams that are competitive trying to win Super Bowls, but just for a year, maybe 2-year time. And I think that they'll go with Will Levis here. I think he might be able to fit kind of Josh McDaniel mold of what he was trying to do, a big physical quarterback that can run and throw at the same time. So I think that that's going to be the route that they go.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm going to be very curious and leave a comment here for Falcons fans because I have them going with Peter Skoronski, tackle from Northwestern, or I should just say offensive lineman here. Because as Falcons fans, there's a clear need at the left guard position, and we have solidified the right side of the offensive line with Caleb McGarry at right tackle and Chris Lindstrom at right guard. Jake Matthews is a very solid left tackle in the league. He is getting older, and Skoronski is I understand all the attributes with Paris Johnson Jr., but in my opinion, I think he's the best offensive. Peter Skoronski is the best offensive lineman in this class because he can play absolutely anywhere on this line. And I think he can come in and immediately fill that left guard spot, and it would be a huge improvement to that offensive line. That was already very good last year. I think he'd solidify that entire offensive line. And if someone gets hurt, I think he can kick out wide to the tackle spot, or he could stay at the left guard position. And with this Arthur Smith type offense that he wants to run, which is going to be a run first type offense with a lot of play action, you need to be able to have strong, fast, quick offensive linemen that can run block and pass block. And Peter Skoronski has all that. If you read any of the scouting reports, there's no flaws. I mean, that's what everyone says. There's flaws everywhere, but in general, technically, he is perfectly sound. So I see them going this route here, still coupled then also with the question marks with Jalen Carter. And if they hadn't signed David Onyemata in the offseason, maybe they do go Carter here. but there's still a clear gap at the left guard, and I think that they can fill that with Skoronski right here.
Yeah, no, I like that pick.
So moving on now to the Bears pick as well. Another one, leave a comment. I know Carter is still there on the board, but they lost Riley Reef in the offseason, and I know Braxton Miller has positive. So I think it's Braxton Miller. Sorry. What's the name of their left tackle?
Orlando Brown?
No, for the Bears.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the Bengals.
Braxton. Is it Braxton Miller? No, Braxton Jones. My apologies. I knew Braxton Miller was the Ohio State quarterback. That's why I knew it wasn't that. Sorry. Sorry, Bears fans. Braxton Jones at left tackle has a lot of upside, but they did lose Riley Reef. And Tevin Jenkins seems like he's going to be staying at the guard position. So I think getting Paris Johnson Jr. here, solidifying the tackle position at right tackle, protecting Justin Fields and the offense that you have, and also being able to build your run game. I think that's the route that they're going to go. It's very tempting to take Jalen Carter, but with some of the other question marks, you can then also still address the defensive interior line later on in this draft.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. From here now, if you're the Eagles, this is the dream scenario. Your defensive line, you've brought back Fletcher Cox, you brought back Brandon Graham on 1-year deals. And these are the type of leaders that you want to locker room to maybe then bring in a young rookie to kind of, with some question marks, to show that, hey, this is how you want to be in the league. This is how you are successful. And I think getting Jalen Carter here would add immediate depth, but also it would replace Javon Hargrave as well. And I think that this would be a great system for him to go into. This was a dream scenario for the Eagles fans, in my opinion. Very curious to see. But if he falls all the way to 10, I could see it hard for them not to be running up to the podium.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good fit there. In my mock draft, I did have Jalen Carter here. He was available in this spot. I'm not going to give away whether I take him or not. But I was torn between this prospect and another prospect that I really like for the Eagles. So far, I'll give you a little bit of a breather and I'll chime in. I really like how this mock draft has played out so far. I think everybody is getting good players that are going to contribute on day one. So
yeah, and there could absolutely be trades, and I do have some trades here. I got to make sure I don't miss them. Actually, yeah, they're later on. So okay, perfect. I can absolutely see like some people maybe trading up, but to me at this point, I was thinking about it. It's like the teams I would trade up. Like if let's say Las Vegas didn't take Will Levis here, I can see Will Levis falling significantly
to like 16 or.
Maybe the Titans would take him at 11, but I don't think they would trade up for him just because they don't have the draft capital. I don't think Washington would take him because I think they're going to roll with Sam Howell or Jacoby Brissett, and maybe if they suck this year, maybe they'll just wait for 2024. The next team would be Tampa Bay, but then now you're asking them to give up, if they're going to rebuild, a first-round pick next year to go up 9 or 10 spots. And at the same time, it's also asking the Bears or the Eagles to fall back that far. I think that the Raiders will take Will Levis, but if they don't take a quarterback there, it's going to be very interesting to kind of see what happens. But let's get back into this. With the Tennessee Titans here, I have had them going offensive linemen every single time. However, one of the nice, actually, with this free agency kind of review up to this point, go check out their video if you haven't seen it already. But didn't realize actually how thin they were at the receiver position. Treylon Burks is there that they drafted last year. They did sign Nick Westbrook-Akine, and then they had who was their other slot receiver?
Kyle Phillips.
So that's why I forgot his name. So it's to me, I think that is an immediate need that they have right here. They have addressed the offensive line position. They have Andre Dillard to help. They also have drafted Dylan Redunds in 2021, Nicholas Petit-Frere last year as well. So they have youth on the offensive line, but they need a lot of talent, I think, in the receiver position. Mm-hmm. And I think getting JSN here actually, I think, would be a great pick. I know that there was someone that commented on one of our videos, and I honestly hadn't even thought about it, but then after doing the review, I think I've been very high on JSN this entire time, and I think that actually this would be a great fit for him.
Yeah. My only thing is that there might be a little bit of overlap with him and Treylon Burks. However, Treylon Burks has a lot of scheme versatility, so you can put Treylon Burks about anywhere, and he could be successful.
So that's Treylon Burks. I thought was taller. I thought Treylon Burks.
He is. He's like 6'3", like 225, but they kind of play that power slot role.
Oh, they do. Okay.
Yeah. But there's not. It's so like I ruled him off the Patriots board because Juju Smith-Schuster almost exclusively plays that power slot role. Whereas when JSN was at Ohio State, he had like 90+% of his production in the slot. And so like I ruled him out for the Patriots because they just signed Juju. Treylon Burks, one, has not established himself as a true power slot option, but he also was much more scheme versatile, I think is the right phrase I'm looking for. But he was much more scheme versatile at Arkansas than like what they really used him as last year. So I definitely think that's good depth in the receiver room. I just have that one like very minor concern. So
no, I got you now. I got you. Let's move on now, staying in the AFC South and also staying in the receiver category. I have them going with Quentin Johnston here. After trading Brandon Cooks, they really don't have anybody else. They have Nico Collins, Robert Woods. That's about it. And I was thinking maybe they could go defensive line as well, but this might be maybe a stretch a little bit for Elijah Cansey and Lucas Van Ness. I also think that there's going to be a lot of defensive line players at their next pick at pick 33. So I think that they can address that position here. Here you're getting one of the best receivers in the I guess what a lot of people assume or are perceived as like the best receiver. He's not as high on my board, but he fits that potential mold of that number one outside receiver that the Texans would be looking for. So I think they're going to go with Quentin Johnston here, give CJ Stroud a running mate. So from here now, the Jets, as I did just mention, maybe a little bit of a stretch for Elijah Cansey. However, though, I think he would fit really well into this Jet system. They did lose Sheldon Rankins here, and pairing him up with Quentin Williams with how quick Elijah Cansey is, it would keep this defensive line, I think, extremely lethal over the foreseeable future. So I have them going with Cansey here. Just as I think he would be a perfect scheme fit for them. So, as a Patriots fan, do you hate that pick?
I mean, yeah.
So, sticking with the defensive line here and also your Patriots, a guy that has risen up a lot of draft boards, as I mentioned earlier, Nolan Smith, I think that he would be a good fit here. I think he would be great opposite of Matt Judon, and the speed and kind of versatility I think that he would bring in, also guarding running backs out of the backfield, I think would help out and also be appealing to the Patriots.
Yeah, no, as a Patriots fan, I do really like this pick. He not only is he a great player on the field, and I actually didn't even realize this, but he might be the most athletic and explosive player in this class. He's 240, ran a 4.39, and like he jumped out the gym. I want to see like a 42-inch vertical, and then like a
double check
broad jump, and so he's an undersized edge, but he actually does his best work against the run. And so I really like him. I like that pick, and he's also a locker room hitter. I was going to add that in there.
Yeah, I think that would be a good fit. I think he can come in immediately, and then with also how effective this defense is, I think that he would thrive under a Bill Belichick system. So moving on now to the Packers here, I think I've mocked this pick before, and I just like this pick. I like this player, and after losing Robert Tonyan, they would need Green Bay needs a tight end here. And I think he can come in 3-down tight end. He can run block. He can also go on pass block. I think he'd be a great complement as well to the speed of Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. So I have them going with Michael Mayer here as well. I could also see them maybe going with Dalton Kincaid also. But I think Mayer might fit their system more because also he can help out a lot with the run blocking as well.
Mm-hmm.
So in this scenario, Washington, I think, I mean, it's Devin Witherspoon. Easy decision here. I didn't even realize that he fell this far, considering the situation. It's just, I guess I just had gone different routes. But Devin Witherspoon, Washington needs cornerback help. I'm surprised that actually they don't have it on PFF, but I would think that cornerback would be a need for Washington. So especially how good that defensive front is, if you can have a lockdown corner like Witherspoon, that's going to be great. So at 17, I had them, the Steelers, going with Joey Porter Jr., staying in the family. I just kind of like that pick, but I also like the player as well and the need fit as well. So Here with the Lions with their second pick, I had gone defense both times for the Lions, but they have 2 picks in the second round as well at picks 48 and 55, and I think they can address the defensive line position and also the linebacker position as well. There, add more depth and more talent. Right now, after they traded T.J. Hawkinson, Brock Wright is their starting tight end, and it's already how lethal this offense is with all the receivers, Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and now you bring in David Montgomery. Jared Goff has had a new life injected into his NFL career, I think, being in Detroit. I think if you added Dalton Kincaid like tight end, that receiver, I think that it would open up so many opportunities, I think, for this offense to even get more explosive.
Yeah. Dalton Kincaid?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So here now is my first trade. There are several teams in between this pick and the Giants that could take a receiver. So I think that they're going to try and jump all them, trade with Tampa Bay, who I believe is in a rebuild position. And I also I guess they could go, Tampa Bay could go in any direction. But I believe I did this pick and then 128, I believe. Would you say that's about fair?
I would probably say 89.
89. Okay.
Yeah.
I might have done 89 and then like 181 from Tampa Bay as well.
Okay, we'll do that one.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
But
I think that would add up on the trade chart.
This will they've definitely addressed the receiving position, but I think Brian Daboll, thank you for all the Giants fans that helped me correct with the pronunciation, not Dabble, Daboll, will have this like franchise receiver that I think that they can build a receiving room around as he gets older and more experienced. It also gives Daniel Jones a much more reliable young receiver that can do a lot of different routes. So I think he would fit very well under this Daboll system. So
you never said the receiver's name.
Oh, I never said Jordan Addison?
No.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. Well, Jordan Addison is who they will take. Sorry. That's funny. Okay, moving on now. Maybe why I didn't say it is just because I think I picked Jordan Addison on every single one. That match fits, and I like that them going and getting a guy. I think he'd fit well in this system. Another guy I think that just fits, I think, in Seattle, O'Cyrus Torrence. This is one, and this is where it's like I was thinking about it. I think I picked him every single time, but I just love the fit, the need for Seattle to address that offensive line. And I'm trying to think if there's maybe any other position that they could go here immediately. But I'm looking at like my remaining players. I mean, maybe they could go receiver, but that's not as of an immediate need. And going like guard here, getting arguably the best pure interior offensive lineman in the draft, I think would just be a perfect fit. So, I mean, maybe Steve Avila from TCU if they like him better, but that might be a little bit of a stretch. So, Miami is supposed to be picking next, but they are not picking. Up next is the Chargers. But one thing I noticed as well with the Chargers is they made very few moves in the offseason, and they don't have that many picks. And there is a team that needs secondary help, picking just a couple picks later, but the two teams in front of them also need secondary help. And there's one more, in my opinion, pure or like top cornerback in the league, and that's Deonte Banks. So I had the Jaguars actually trading up with the Chargers here to get Deonte Banks, jump over the Ravens and also Minnesota, who need secondary help as well. And then the Chargers also get an extra pick to maybe help fill in some of these positional needs.
Is that what you had, 121?
Yeah.
Okay. I get
Deonte Banks. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the Ravens here, I have them going. Who did I have them going with here? I had them going with Myles Murphy here. They they're a little depleted overall on the edge rusher position here. They lost Calais Campbell to the Falcons. And so I think replenishing some of that talent loss and also just finding just positional needs, adding depth at this position is going to be huge. I think Myles Murphy has a player with a lot of potential, and adding him in this defensive front with Baltimore that just always is extremely good, I think will be great for his career, and also any developmental aspects that he still needs, I think will be addressed here in this team. So moving on now to Minnesota. I went with Brian Branch here. This fits. This was, I think, just an overall good fit for me. Brian Flores is coming as a defensive coordinator. They need to kind of revamp this entire defense. It's not very good. And one reason why I like Brian Branch a lot is I think he can be a safety. I think he can play nickel corner. I think they can even kick him into linebacker sometimes. He's just a really good overall football player that can cover the field. He's not the quickest, but just overall his instincts, his tackling is very good. I think he would thrive under a Brian Flores defensive system. So up next now, we have the Chargers, and one of the reasons why I wanted them to do a trade back is there was still the position that I wanted them to take and what I think that they will address in this first round. There's still some guys that they could address even if maybe Zay Flowers wasn't here and he was taken. But he is in this situation. He is still here. I have them going with Zay Flowers. They only have 5 receivers right now, according to our lads, that are on the books. And so I think we just did their free agency recap and all their signings and reviews. I think they have just as many tight ends on their roster as they do receivers. So getting receivers and getting youth here, I think Zay Flowers would fit in within that system, as I think he can also learn a lot from Keenan Allen as well. So now we're back to pick number 25, which is where Tampa Bay is now picking. They just get rid of Shaq Mason, and they also cut Donovan Smith as well. So I have them getting younger and getting a very good prospect, a little bit raw, but Broderick Jones at a Georgia tackle position. Have him go at right tackle. If Tristan Wirfs shifts over to left tackle position, I think that would be it's kind of a scary tackle combination a couple of years from now. So from here, Dallas Cowboys, they could go a lot of different directions, but they are making moves that are a win-now move, and I think that they're going to be going with the best overall prospect available. And if this was 2010 or maybe in the mid-2000s, Bijan Robinson would be a top 5 pick. But since this is not, and this is kind of this new era of football, running backs are not as valued for reasons I do agree with, unfortunately. But he is by far probably the best player on the board right now. And I think he can come into this system. And with the moves that Cowboys have made of trading for Brandon Cooks, trading for Stephon Gilmore, they're in an absolute win-now mode. And Bijan Robinson can come in and arguably be a top 5 to top 10 running back in the league, especially under the system. So I think getting Bijan here, keeping him in state. Also, Jerry Jones will want to sell so many T-shirts with Bijan Robinson. So that to me was just hasn't made too much sense. So at 27 with Buffalo, I honestly thought about this pick for 5 to 10 minutes. I really didn't like too many of the options that were available. They are very deep at the edge rusher position. They've addressed the offensive line, and actually, Bills fans comment on this if you agree with me, but I actually think that they are pretty good at the tackle position, and they have addressed a lot in the offensive guard position, and yet they don't have that many picks. However, there's a team. I have actually the Colts trading up here with Buffalo. They give up very few picks, and actually getting Darnell Wright. And helping addressing their offensive tackle position and the offensive line position as well, adding more depth, trying to get back to that dominant offensive line ways that they were in 2021. And I have them going with Darnell right here. Yeah, I think he gave them like 150 something or something like that.
No, it was 106.
Oh, 106.
They're coming up 9 picks. They're coming back into the first round, so it's going to be fairly expensive.
That's fair. So at pick number 28, I had them going to Emmanuel Forbes here. And so secondary has been depleted. They lost Von Bell, Jesse Bates. They've also not re-signed several of their other corners like Eli Apple. So I think they're going to want to readdress their secondary. I could also see them going tight end here. I like the idea if Michael Mayer or Dalton Kincaid fall, and if maybe I'm too high on them come draft day. I really would like one of them in the system, but they're obviously not here right now. So I have them going with Emmanuel Forbes. I think he's the best cornerback on the board right now. They can maybe go Brian Breesy at defensive tackle here, getting more defensive interior depth. But I think Emmanuel Forbes can come in. I think he can help contribute day one. Mm-hmm. So here at number 29, I have consistently gone Maisie Smith. However, Lucas Van Ness, I think at this point is too good a value, and have him go opposite side Cameron Jordan, who is getting up there in age. I think this to me was a kind of a no-brainer pick here. The 30th pick for the Eagles. This might be a little bit of a stretch, so Eagles fans, comment and let me know your thoughts on this. But after getting Jalen Carter at pick number 10, defensive interior is not obviously in need right now. And maybe they could go edge rusher, but I think they can address edge rusher later on in the draft with similar value here. However, this linebacking class is not very deep. And so I think getting, in my opinion, the number one linebacker, Jack Campbell, I think can help contribute immediately from day one. He can go alongside Nakobe Dean. And if there's a weakness overall, I would say on this Eagles defense, I would say the linebacking core depth at minimum. I think it's probably the thinnest out of everything on this team. So lastly then, Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl pick. They lost Orlando Brown Jr. and their right tackle,
Andrew Wiley.
That's it. And so they have re-signed Jawan Taylor. They do have Lucas Niang, I believe is his name as well, that they drafted a few years ago. Let me double check here. Anyways, I think that in general, though, tackle depth, they only have 4 tackles right now that are on their roster. I think if they go with DeJuan Jones here, I think he can at least at minimum compete, but also probably be the starting right tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs. He is a very solid right tackle, and I think that he can come in and help contribute and kind of keep this offensive line dominance that we've saw in the postseason for Kansas City. But that's my draft. It's Ryan, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I like it. Mine is pretty similar. I think we have some players or some similar positions, but different players going in similar spots. To give a little foreshadow there. But all in all, I really like it. I can't pick anything that I really think is like questionable. I'm a little lower on Will Anderson than you are. Yeah. I'm also a little bit lower on these wide receivers as well as a whole. But
that's one of the things, and I tried to try to think of like what the team needs would be. And it's like Jackson Smith-Njigba, for example. Could they go someone else? But I mean, maybe they could go Nolan Smith, but you could either get that or the number one wide receiver in the class, which would be an immediate need. And Nolan Smith does seem super athletic, but at the same time, at their next pick, there's going to be a bunch of other edge rushers as well that I think that they could also help address the position. So that's like that's what was going in my mind. Even the same thing then with taking Jack Campbell. The Eagles' next pick is pick 62, and after 30. And not gonna lie, the 4 linebackers that I think that are top in this class: Campbell, Darren Henley, Drew Sanders, and Trenton Simpson. Mm-hmm. They all might be gone by pick number 62. And so I think going and getting now what your favorite linebacker might be. Maybe they don't go Jack Campbell. Maybe they go Trenton Simpson here. Mm-hmm. So. Whoever they feel is their best fit. But I think that would address immediate needs, especially after Jalen Carter falling to them at number 10. So who knows? This to me, it's funny. This is our 3rd mock draft doing this.
4th.
Sorry. 3rd year of doing the Tracy Take and everything. And the first year was the Trevor Lawrence year. And it was like we almost got it down to a science, like the first 12 picks. Like, he's going here, he's going here, he's going here. It didn't really get like interesting until like 15, 16, 17. To your point exactly, Will Anderson might not be the best edge rusher. Cardinals might like Tyree Wilson. Maybe the Cardinals trade. Like, we have literally no idea. It's still we don't even know who the top quarterback's going to be. So it's very interesting and fun to kind of analyze. I think my mock drafts have been different every single time.
Yeah. No, mine have definitely been very different, and my next one is going to be very, very different. So but let's go ahead and wrap up this mock draft here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe and leave a comment down below on what you thought of Tyler's mock draft. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.